Good morning, everybody. We're going to talk about Altseason again. It's a dirty word because it's not, we're not seeing ups in altcoins. We're not seeing green in altcoins. But as I said to somebody at some point, sometime yesterday, I can't remember who or where or when, I said, look, you might as well call for an Altseason before it happens, given some evidence of shifting momentum and potential lows forming. That way you could perhaps even catch close to a low for an altcoin of choice. That way, when it does go up, you don't have to worry about FOMO because you're already in. And also, you'll be able to make more money if it does go up because you bought much lower. Alright? So that's basically the deal. So when I call for Altseason, it doesn't mean it happens by the end of the video. It probably doesn't even happen by the end of the week. It might not even happen next week. You know what? It might not ever happen at all. You do realise that when you make these videos and chart any chart at all at any point for anybody, that nobody actually has 100% guarantee that's going to work. You know that. Obviously, we all know that. So with that said, I'll give you my, my perspective on what's going on, and whether or not you agree with me is completely entirely up to you. So before I even start, I suppose I might as well just remind everybody that I've been calling for this year to be generally one of continuous uptrend, moving towards the end of the year, right? Just like I called for the Altseason back in the end of last year, and I called for the Altseason at the end of the year prior to that, really. So I call for these big swings. So if you're tuning in expecting to see the next 15 minutes worth of price action, it's probably not really going to be that relevant. But if you're looking to position yourself and perhaps make the most of what should be, the biggest part of the bull run, I suppose this might be one of the videos for you. So we're looking at Ethereum, and it's not because Ethereum is the next best thing to slice bread. It's because it carries a lot of weight on the Bitcoin dominance chart and obviously the total too, because it's a huge market cap, and whichever way it goes influences the dominance chart and the total 2 and then the total 3 and others and all the other stuff just through association with that. So we look at Ethereum, or I look at Ethereum as an indicator for all altcoins. Now we did a Patreon last night, as we do every Tuesday and Fridays, and there was a lot of altcoins out there that look horrendous. The ones that looked best, or the one that looked best, is XRP actually. Yeah, moving into next week, if XRP can hold this price or higher, it would it would generate a trend signal on the daily for the Ichimoku cloud, and that would likely take it up to a new all-time high, probably by the end of the month into next month, and that might be the chart that starts to add more confidence and weight to altcoins. So no altcoins created equal, and surprisingly, like XRP and XRP's best friends like XLM, Algorand, HBAR, all these sort of things will probably move first because they actually, they are really quite bullish charts to be fair. But again, they can't be traded in a vacuum. They're going to be vulnerable to Bitcoin's move, and Bitcoin's vulnerable to the S&P's move, which is vulnerable to the Dixie's move, and they're all vulnerable to, people saying stuff, mighty, powerful people saying stuff. Right, so let's just focus on Ethereum for now. So what we see here is a bullish chart. We saw this yesterday. So we had an accumulation phase, which we said, I said this is the accumulation phase. You've got to accumulate into it. Most altcoins looks like this back at the end of last year. So this is why we are accumulated towards the end of the summer, waiting for the move towards the end of the year. That's exactly what we got. As we were approaching these major levels on not just Ethereum but all the altcoins, I said we're likely to see consolidation throughout December. We got consolidation throughout December, and the best place to pick them up would be these areas. These are golden crosses. If you're going to get a V-shaped recovery and then continuation, it would happen from these areas. So we've not actually hit it yet. A lot of other altcoins have hit it, but Ethereum did not. So most altcoins, that I had limit orders in were around these areas, the 200, simple, and exponential, and they got filled for the most part. Some of them got sort of pretty hard, badly hit, but Ethereum didn't actually make it there, which is why I'm looking at this and thinking that there's a good chance that if it does turn around from here, this is the V-shaped recovery. So back up to 4,000 and beyond, new all-time highs. We've got two drives now. Bullish divergence, regular bullish divergence on the daily. So we've had a downtrend that's been going on for over a month, and now we've got momentum turning. It's shifting. It's saying the downtrend is likely to turn around these areas. So the areas specifically are 3,100, and then you've got a center range just below 3,000, and then you've got this horizontal down here, 2,800. That corresponds to the top of the accumulation zone, and that's not uncommon to see that. We saw that on quite a lot of coins in after many accumulations. Just to name a few that I'm aware of, or that I remember, we had ICP did the same thing. The top of the accumulation zone for that was around $7.40, if I remember. Same thing with Chainlink. Top of the accumulation is about $9.50 or thereabouts. You accumulate in the below those areas, you rally out of them, and you come back down into the top of it, basically giving you one last chance to potentially buy close to the low, which is above the accumulation zone. So we've got this box. A box, I'll call it the box of significance, and from here to where the box begins is a 3.5% move. To the bottom of the box is a 13% move. So it's not huge in the context of the risk to reward aspect. This is what I'm always trying to refer to: risk to reward. The risk would be to accumulate down into these areas, and then it fails and it comes down lower. Okay, so that would be bad. So you accumulate from the top, center, low, and the reward is up to a minimum of where it came from, 26%. So it's about 2-to-1 odds risk to reward basis. But the hope would be that it actually breaks from here and continues up, and then at that stage makes its way up to its previous all-time high, and then from there it goes up to new all-time highs. Reasonably consistent month over month, really. So you're going to have big ups and big downs like we're seeing at the moment. So I'm not calling for a parabolic run. I'm calling for lows to be scraped out that might take a bit of time, but should basically benefit you in the long run. So there's your Ethereum setup, really, and that's what I'm expecting. And because Ethereum has such weight on the dominance chart, it would shift the dominance chart. Now, the dominance chart at the moment is above all moving averages on this daily. We're approaching the resistance, the 58.5% dominance area. If you get rejected from there, that would be good. It would be another lower high. High, lower high, lower high. Should be expecting a lower low. That's what you'd be expecting for this kind of structure. And with Ethereum sort of looking the way that it is looking, I wouldn't at all be surprised to see that would be the case. Doesn't mean it will. There's mixed signals on this. You've actually got a pump signal on the 4-hourly that could just take you up to the next major level of resistance. That's usually what you'd come to expect from a pump signal anyway. And just push into the next major level of resistance. You've got single drive bearish divergence on the RSI as well. We just go over to the weekly just to see what's going on there. We've got a single drive of hidden bullish divergence, which marked this absolute low. And yeah, I suppose moving into a lower high over the next couple of weeks. So we might not be seeing any kind of major movement for a couple of weeks. That's all I'm saying. Right, the next thing we're going to think about is the total 2, which is basically a reflection of a bullish altcoin chart. So we're above the 10 exponential, which is a major support, supported again, and again. But if we do lose it, we come down to this area, which is the 21, which is 1.22 trillion. And then you could even come down a little lower. You could come down to 1.13 trillion. All of this still actually really pretty bullish on a weekly. So the long-term projection is one of a bullish chart. And again, we look at these areas again for 200 simples and exponentials. We've got 1.15 and 1.7, giving you an area of to think about buys. And again, that is 14 to maybe even 20%. Those are big drops, right? So this is why I'm trying to put it into as much perspective as possible, right? So this is cryptocurrency, right? I'm assuming you're attracted to crypto because of the big moves, which means that you could make lots of money. But you don't just get big moves up. Obviously, you're going to see big moves down, which means that you do have to be prepared to accumulate within a range that could even be, 20% up from the low. This is the deal. But by the time it resolves, it will be awesome. I talk about it all the time because I remember in the last cycle Bitcoin had been consolidating for a long time from $14,000, and it sort of found a low around 6,006. And I remember saying, look, I think 6,600 is a good enough area to buy. And I remember getting loads and loads of comments going, no, you're a fool. It's 6,400. Will never, ever buy Bitcoin at 6,600. Absolutely not. That's too high for me. I'll wait for that $200 extra. And I don't think it came. I'm pretty sure it didn't come really. And so there would have been lots of people married to the idea that they cannot, bear to buy Bitcoin at 6,600. They have to have it at 6,400, and then they never got it. And then, now we look at it, it's trading at like $95,000 or something like that. And it's all completely irrelevant, So, yeah, of course, it's nice to catch the absolute low perfectly, but it's very hard, sometimes impossible, most of the time impossible to do that kind of thing. So you just put it into context. That's why you have a risk to reward. Some of the altcoins we were looking at yesterday, risk to reward is completely unacceptable. Some of them is actually really acceptable. I think it was Bonk we looked at, really, which was like a 10-to-1 odds on risk to reward. So, you do risk, you're putting your neck out there, but if it does turn out the way that the chart looked, you're looking for a much, much bigger return than you would be a potential loss. So this is how you've got to think about all charts at all times. There's no point in buying something if it's like you're looking to get back as much as you're looking to risk. It's not worth sticking your neck out for that. Right, so there's your total 2, there's your Bitcoin dominance, and there's your Ethereum. There's not a great deal point in sort of going on much further than this. I really just want to put my point out there that, it is coming down, and it may come down further. We've not hit those major supports yet, but once we do, and if we do, should I say, but once and if we do, I think quite strongly that it should be turning around there, not just for Ethereum, but for all the altcoins generally. But that doesn't mean you have to trade the worst looking altcoin in the world because you've seen that it's like 99% down, which means that it could go back up to where it came from. That's not the way to look at it. Look at the bullish charts, trade the bullish charts, recognize what charts are bullish and go for those. Like I say, XRP is actually pretty cool chart. This is a daily massive uptrend, consolidating quite timidly really compared to other altcoins. If we measure it from its wick high to where it is right now, you will then see that actually it's only 19% down, 20% down from its peak. Some altcoins, and I'm sure you're aware of this, are down 50 or more % from their highs. Who would have thought that XRP would have withstood such incredible price, while the rest of the market, cannot? So we do have to accept and recognize what it is that we're seeing here. XRP, the pillar of strength. It's above pretty much all moving averages. We've got a cross above the cloud now, so we are looking for a trend signal. We just need to get this cheeky span outside of the price action. It's not going to do it today. I think it's kind of unlikely. You need to get above 260 to do that today and this weekend. But next week, as the price action subsides in this little portion, that cheeky span can get a trend signal above 238, until all the way down here at 213. If it can stay in this kind of area. So I think XRP is primed to be the first move out of the altcoins. It doesn't mean that it has to, but if I was to be forced to trade an altcoin and someone presents me with some steaming turd and say, well, this is going to be the biggest thing you've ever seen, and it's below all moving averages, getting death crossed, rejections all over the place, volume subsiding, everything's bad. The only thing that's good about it is that it's got a low market cap, and that's the attractive part of that chart, because if it does go up, it might do 1000x or something like that. No, I'm not going to do that. No, I would much rather trade a bullish chart that presents itself to go up and continue to move up like this than a steaming turd that, despite looking awful, there is a gambling chance that it does move dramatically. So I'm going to leave it with you there. Still believe the alt season is coming. I think it's more likely to come from a little lower based on the Ethereum scenario. It should be turning around within this box, and then we should be moving back up to where we came from and continuation up. So again, it's another alt season video. The evidence is here. Golden crosses get retested. They very, very, very often turn around to do V-shaped recoveries from that. We've got shifting momentum, which again is very, very good, and we're looking for it to benefit pretty much all altcoins. But even though most altcoins will move through association with Ethereum and the market as a whole, I would still focus primarily on the charts which are presented in an immediate bullish way. And you've probably seen it already. It's the top 50 that seem to be moving the most. They're the ones with the best charts. If we're going to have legitimacy in crypto, I suppose the top projects with good utility, professional teams are probably the ones that ought to benefit first, not the steaming turds that have been generated or created in some 13-year-old's bedroom for a pump and dump. There's a time and a place for that, but really it's not now. Okay, it's just not now. Right, thank you for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.